Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of worry, tension or stress to leave your body in your outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice where you feel any tension in your body. It could be around your eyelids, in your jaw, neck or shoulders. And awareness is the ability to notice what you notice and give permission to release it. Each time you notice tension, gives you the capacity to unlock the tension and feel it melting away from your body. As you breathe in, allow yourself to breathe in deeper than you normally would. And as you exhale, just get a sense that all of that tension is able to be released in your outward breath, enabling you to have a deeper breath than you normally would. Enabling you to go deeper and deeper relaxed. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a picturesque suburban street. I want you to imagine it's clean, the lawns are manicured. Perhaps there's trees on either side of the road. Maybe you can see on either side of the road are bungalows. Notice the color of the house, the size. And I want you to imagine that each of these bungalows is unique to an individual. And there will be one of these bungalows that somehow resonates with you. Maybe it's the color or the style. Maybe there's something about it, an energy that just draws you towards it. And I want you to imagine that this bungalow is home to all those parts of you. The parts that enable you to make choices. The parts that enable you to cope with difficult times. The parts that are uniquely skilled in a particular area of your life. And these parts have roles to play, and therefore the parts almost will look like archetypes of their function. Perhaps there's a creative part that looks like an artist. A part that's there to protect that looks like a warrior. And I want you to imagine you're walking up towards this bungalow. Just allow your eyelids to get heavier and heavier. Neck, shoulder, just release that tension. And I want you to imagine that this bungalow is unique. It's a bungalow with a basement and a bunker attached to the basement. And I want you to imagine that this is a bungalow. So therefore, there is no attic. There is no second floor going upwards. And when you open the door to this bungalow, you will see the most influential parts that have the biggest role in your life. Maybe recognizable parts. Gold Star Girl. Maybe a childlike part that used to be locked in a closet. Maybe there's a part that is a negotiator, a source of what would have been called criticism in the past, but now empowerment. And I want you to imagine walking up to this door, and maybe you're knocking on the door using a door knocker or a doorbell. When the door is ready to be opened, just let me know by nodding your head. But before you walk in, I want you to imagine you have a gift for every single part in that house. Everything on the ground floor, the basement, and the bunker. And I want you to create an image in your mind that if worthiness had energy, that's what you would have as your gifts. And then imagine walking into this bungalow, this house. And I want you to share out these gifts of worthiness. And what is worthiness if it isn't to let these parts know that they are valued, they are important, and you appreciate them. And I want you to imagine you're just walking around on the front floor of this bungalow, maybe giving hugs, handshakes, whatever is appropriate to connect with these parts, and share out this worthiness. And maybe words naturally come from you to let these parts know you appreciate them. And I want you to think about how you would communicate to a long-lost family member. You could appreciate them even if perhaps you don't know them that well. And then I want you to imagine, and there might be 20 or so parts on this ground floor of this bungalow, but you're more curious to connect with those parts that are there in the basement, that only come out now and then. I want you to imagine that you go down the stairs to the basement, switch on the light, and perhaps see some parts that you've not noticed or even realized. It could be the equivalent of someone that you've been working with for a while, but you don't really know their name. Maybe you don't really know too much about them. There might be vague familiarity. And what if this is the time to bring these parts in? Again, share out this gift in whichever representation. It could be energy, it could be a wrapped gift, it could be something that denotes value like a gold coin. But I want you to imagine sharing out this worthiness, this significance, this value to all of these different parts. And I want you to let all of these parts know that you haven't given them the attention, the significance, the recognition that they deserve. And in doing so, you've been hurting yourself. And I want you to say to these parts, if in the past they've come to you with a good intention, a good idea, an enthusiastic approach to something, and you've shut them down, that you're sorry about that. And feel that genuine remorse within you. Because in the past, you've been shut down. You've gone to someone with an enthusiastic idea that could really help. But sometimes their single-minded approach, a lack of willingness to be open to ideas, caused you to develop a mindset of why bother. And if that's happened to you, it stands to reason that it could also happen to these parts that are there to serve you. And once they get the idea that they are valued and respected and significant, they will work that overtime for you. They'll start coming back to you with incredible ideas. They will take your ideas and be working on them 24/7 to come up with solutions, strategies. Because where the rubber meets the road is not in the idea, it's in the execution of the idea. But I want you to imagine saying to all of these parts in the basement that we can't possibly move forward while there are further parts that remain hidden. And I want you to imagine there is a bunker attached to the basement. And I want you to imagine that you have the key and you open that bunker door. And maybe there's just 1 or 2 parts in there, or maybe there's 10. And the reason they're cowering away is because they feel so unworthy. They never leave the bunker. You have geniuses there, such talent, such passion, but these parts are the most fragile. I want you to imagine one by one giving them that gift of worthiness and a sincere apology. The sincerest apology that you can muster, that if it was something that you did that made them feel so unworthy that they hid away in this bunker, then it's not their fault, it's yours. And by owning that mistake and giving a sincere apology, just tell them you will do whatever it takes to put things right. But the first thing is to give them the confidence that they don't need to hide away anymore. That if you've been harsh with them, rude to them, the past is the past. And notice one by one they leave the bunker. And while they've been in the bunker, they've been of no value to you whatsoever. Now they're in the basement. They have the ability to create some value through intuition and thoughts and ideas. And who knows, what if one of these parts that's been hiding away in the bunker becomes so significant and important to your life that they move up onto the first floor of the bungalow and create a magical new chapter in your life? What if these cowering, unworthy parts become your biggest assets? The stars in the movie of your life. I want you to get a sense that you're moving all of the parts onto the first floor of this bungalow and then opening up into a big garden, and you're throwing a party for them, making them all feel worthy, making them all feel important, telling them you don't want anything from them, you just want to clear the air, you want to reconcile the past, and you want to create an open door so that if these parts have any ideas, you are open-minded to them. And I want you to make a promise to them that if any of these parts do something that doesn't meet your high standards, you will do your very best to not be critical, but to treat it as an opportunity for you and them to learn learn to communicate better, learn to consider new ideas, and that you are willing to being open to the possibility that you're wrong, to encourage all of these parts to create the possibility of new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of living, to facilitate you living your best life. I want you to tell all of these parts that nobody belongs in the bunker anymore. And I want you to imagine you're giving them a huge budget to extend the bungalow and the basement to make it luxurious. That if they choose to be in the basement, the very best that you can do is to make it luxurious for them to enjoy being there. And the basement is no worse than the first floor. It's just that it happens to be more private. And if all the parts accept and are appreciative of this new dynamic between you and them, just let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to tell them that you'll return. But the important thing is to know that they are worthy, appreciated, valued, and you welcome any ideas or thoughts that they may have to improve the quality of your life, and your life is their life. They all have a vested interest in moving things forward. Imagine leaving the bungalow, but feeling lighter on your feet, feeling more settled, feeling that you've righted a wrong. And as you leave the bungalow, find yourself back in your body, listening to my voice firmly in the present. Take a deep breath in, 3 on O's, and out 3 on O's. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and get a sense that very soon I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken feeling more aligned, more in synergy, and feeling that you can tap into the infinite power of all your resources. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.